and welcome to New World Order. The year 2020 began with Australia on fire and 1 billion animals dead. Little did we know then that that would be the feel-good story of the year. The longer this year has gone on, the more we realise that Jeffrey Epstein must have been really holding things together behind the scenes. There's still so much that we don't know about COVID-19. All we know for certain is that it's a virus that affects the respiratory system that the Chinese manufactured in a lab in a desperate final attempt to kill Prince Philip. Then lockdown came in. To maintain social distancing, football clubs told their players not to spit roast anyone shorter than 6'2". People tried to stay positive. In my local park, someone tried to cheer people up by writing, "You got this," in chalk on the ground. Literally the last thing that anyone wants to hear during a pandemic. Boris Johnson caught COVID and later said that contingency plans had been made for his death. That's true. I bought fireworks. Of course, I'm actually very glad that Boris Johnson didn't die. I wouldn't have wanted that. I'd have much preferred to see clawed hands rise from a vent in the ground and drag his living body into hell. The messaging from the government has been confusing. It's amazing that Boris Johnson, who drove a JCB with Get Brexit Done on it through a polystyrene wall, waited until a life or death pandemic to discover a gift for ambiguity. I eventually worked out how to make customers in Waitrose stay 2 metres away from me. I started carrying an Aldi bag. Then we had the news that cats can get it, something I found quite worrying, until I found out that it's not sexually transmitted. A cat tested positive for corona and had a series of strokes, which it really enjoyed. It's the last clean joke in the show. There was a big anti-mask protest at the weekend. There are, of course, perfectly acceptable reasons to not want to wear a mask. For example, you might be a total fucking moron. Some advice even suggested that we wear masks during sex. Way ahead of you. The trick is to try and make it fun and act out your sexual fantasies. I like to imagine that my partner is a highwaywoman, the thrill-seeking wife of an impotent aristocrat. And she likes to imagine that I'm someone else. Okay, let's go on with the show. Joining me tonight to discuss the week's big topics are Sarah Pascoe, Miles Jupp and Sophie Duker. Welcome. So we've got no audience. This is pretty much the society that the earlier series of this show predicted.
Yeah.
And personally, I'm surprised, but I really want to get back to live shows.
Yeah, we're not allowed to sing. You're allowed to talk if you're 2 metres away. You can't sing and things.
I don't think the show will be the same without the songs.
No, always my favourite.
I heard they edit them out. How you doing? Have you had a good lockdown?
Oof.
No one's had a good one. Have you?
I was quite optimistic at the start. I thought this is a great opportunity to just reappraise everything. And then I sort of reappraised everything and realised that I was depressed. That was a wake-up call. No, I mean, bits of it have been good. Watched The Wire again.
It does sound like depression.
I started secret baking.
Why is it secret?
Because I didn't think it was possible to bake and not tell people about it on social media, but it turns out it is. I baked a biscuit and didn't take a picture of it.
You just tell people about it on TV.
I tell people about it on TV. There are no
Here's a
pictures of the
secret
actual
baker. Okay, we're going to do our first motion. First up, COVID-19 will eventually bring the people of Britain closer together in our mass graves. Joining us to discuss the pandemic, please welcome Mr. Guz Khan. How are you, man? Are you having a good pandemic?
Having a great pandemic, bro. I've really enjoyed it. Like, I feel bad because a lot of people are out there saying they're struggling, being isolated, being in their house. But I love that shit, man.
Are you getting into this fitness kick?
Well, I need to because all the reports and medical expertise said that if you're fat and brown, it's game over. So I was trying to move a little bit. But unfortunately, when everyone said that all shops were closed, Dixie Chicken was still active. So I think legally no one checked on Dixie Chicken because they were on it.
So, back in March, even before this lockdown, Boris Johnson knew that one thing and one thing alone was guaranteed to beat the coronavirus: the slapdash buffoonery of a man with the general air of a horny pile of laundry. Here he is displaying an ill-advised, blokey confidence in this awkwardly staged press conference.
No, well, Victoria, I can tell you that I'm shaking hands continuously. I was at a hospital the other night where I think there were actually a few coronavirus patients, and I shook hands with everybody. You'll be pleased to know. I think the scientific evidence is, well, I'll hand over to the experts, but our judgment is wash. Washing your hands is the crucial thing.
He was sort of right, though, in that he said, "You'll be pleased to know that I was shaking hands with corona victims," and I was pleased to know that.
I suppose that Valence guy as well. He's the one having to stand next to Johnson, sort of every time when he's going off on something, having to sort of slightly. It's a bit like now, children. Sometimes Grandma says things she doesn't mean. There's that sort of kind of aspect to the peacekeeping. The fact that he's going off with "Wash your hands." I'm sorry. Do continue. I just thought it was. Wash your hands. Don't listen. Wash your hands. No, do continue, Prime Minister. A lot of it's very sensible.
The thing with telling people to wash their hands is that the only consistent piece of advice that the government has given is wash your hands, which is the thing that everyone should have been doing anyway. It's like a restaurant being like, "Oh, we'll sort out the glass and the food, but remember to chew." And it's like,
How do you think the government's done overall?
There are very few governments who have done amazing because the crisis is absolutely terrible on every level for individuals who've been affected, for the economy, for businesses. I don't know. I wouldn't want to be in charge of the country trying to deal with this problem. I don't look at other politicians from other parties and think, "Oh, slam, they could have handled this."
Yeah, it's unprecedented.
I agree. Like, we had my man on the TV saying, "I'm shaking everybody's hands," despite the fact that there were virologists worldwide saying human contact is going to cause an absolute chaos for us all worldwide. The one thing I've learned about this pandemic really is, though, you can do as shit a job as this government has, and providing you're still willing to pop migrants' boats in the middle of the sea, British public still got your back.
Well, I think the big stories that come out of the pandemic are basically like the big narratives that they want to push are stuff like "Reach out to help out" or like "Everybody clap."
You know what? The clapping was sick though. We've got this
Yeah.
neighbour who lives opposite, like 10 doors down, and he was like properly on it, like banging pots and pans. And he was like, "I didn't really like Filipinos before, but I'll give him a chance now."
As the pandemic took hold, the government knew that they had someone in their ranks with the gravitas and keen intellect required to help keep the country calm and well informed. Instead, they used Matt Hancock. He was the mentally decrepit health minister, rambling his COVID briefing from the doorway of Britain's largest cupboard.
Sam from Chester asked, "The likes of gardens and big shops are now beginning to reopen with social distancing measures in place. When will UK zoos be able to say the same?" Sam, thank you for your question. It's something that is close to my heart because because Chester Zoo is such a fantastic zoo, and having coming from Chester myself, I know it extremely well. Not least because, unlike some other shops that can just close, you've still got to be there in the zoo looking after the animals. Thanks very much, Sam.
Of all the things to care about in a pandemic, zoos. If I want to see a depressed £200 animal trapped in a confined space, I'll look down at myself in the bath.
I think based on the sort of reverie that he seemed to slip into when he said Chester Zoo, that he had some sort of life-changing sexual experience in Chester Zoo. Oh, it's a good zoo.
Didn't he sort of lose confidence in the middle that Chester had a zoo?
He thinks the people have to stay in the zoos. They have to
feed the animals.
They live and feed the animals, and
Because they could put them all in one enclosure and let nature take its course.
Open them all and let Chester take its course.
The only thing with like all these speeches that I've seen during this pandemic, is that they look like a shit teacher at school who's trying to keep a class under control. They just need to send like a year 11 in, and when they start rambling on too much, just hit them with the "dickhead, shut up now, that's enough." Too much.
Weren't you a teacher, guys?
Oh, is that?
What do you think about them opening schools up again and stuff?
As a teacher, I know the chaos that is impending when you're letting it. It's going to be a zoo in itself when you're letting all these kids back into school after, what's it been, 6, 7, 8 months? How long's it been?
It's been forever, guys.
There's going to be several shanking incidents that take place because everything that they've been doing on the streets, you're going to try and confine them. You're trying to put them back in prison. It's like all these kids have been on day release for 8 months, and now you're putting them back in prison. It's not going to work out, mate.
How have you found homeschooling?
Yeah, I'm not very good at it.
How many hours a day do you think is a reasonable amount of time to homeschool each child for?
I mean, I'm no expert. But when we were teaching, if it was a difficult class, if they did 20 minutes of work in an hour lesson, that was great. So I think there's a lot of parents out there putting pressure on themselves to be like, you have to start at 8 o'clock and finish at 3:30. It's like, nah, man, if your little dickhead can do an hour during the day, boom, you're done.
That's what I wanted to hear, thank you.
All right, not everyone saw the pandemic as a crisis. Some saw it as an opportunity. Faced with the frustration of social distancing, the unquenchable British spirit of ingenuity and engineering excellence rose to the challenge.
You've got to put your arms through the bottom one. Yeah? So your arms are through the bottom one. Okay? My arms go through the top one. How amazing is it? And then you bring it back through. And then it's ready for the next person.
I just really like that she coughed at the end of it. It's childish.
And that's how you smother an old person to death and leave no DNA.
Just wrap them up in it.
Yeah, that's it.
She was really excited in that clip. She does like a sort of little wiggle when it's like he's created a platonic glory hole for him.
Oh, that's a better name.
The platonic glory hole. Get one for your nan.
There was a big thing, wasn't there, over lockdown where people went, oh, what I really miss most is being able to get a hug from my dad. And the West of Scotland was like, what?
Which bit didn't they understand? The dad or the hug? Talk us through it. Father Christmas is the one who gave me coronavirus. I know it sounds like I'm a child telling a lie, but I was in Finland, in Lapland. I met Father Christmas that day, and then we had to be evacuated to come back home without, because Finland were kicking everyone out. And when I landed in the UK, I had coronavirus.
Oh shit, did you? So what did you feel?
Well, it was awful. I didn't have it as bad as some people have had it. I had it for about 5 weeks. It was very bad.
I had corona. I got it at a gig, obviously. I was really grim for a couple of weeks, but what I didn't know is like the downside. Like 2 months later,
I didn't know coronavirus had a downside.
Oh yeah,
I think it was just
it's not all fun.
Uplands coronavirus.
I mean, it was great at first, but after like a couple of months, my lung capacity still hadn't come
Mine
back
still
properly.
hasn't. I went for a run today and had to stop, but still it feels like you can't breathe to the very bottom. That side of it's horrible, isn't it?
Well, like you were saying, bro, this broad range of potential symptoms is so broad. It's like if your oxygen rate falls below 93, you might have to be hospitalised.
What is the O2? What does it even mean? If your oxygen...
So like if your oxygen saturation level's at like 99, you're bang on, you're having a laugh. But
is that out of something? 99? Is it a percentage? What is it?
I don't know. But it's
I'm guessing it's 100. It's not going to be 99 out of 102.
That's not.
Well, that's why you don't guess about medicine.
Because that would mean that the other 1% of your blood wasn't oxygen. So
You can phone 999 or my guest line.
Which service do you require? I just want someone to take a punt, really.
Under the stress of lockdown, inquiring minds turned to the wilder corners of the internet to try and understand the pandemic. Many started believing conspiracy-themed nonsense, such as the idea that the 5G mobile phone signal was responsible, an idea that the celebrated polymath Eamon Holmes refused to rule out during an unusually tense episode of daytime favourite This Morning.
There's been some 30 acts of vandalism and arson around the UK, damaging essential telephone equipment, which is just worrying because of some rumour that is circulating. It's not true, and it's incredibly stupid to be.
The only thing I totally agree with everything you're saying, but what I don't accept is mainstream media immediately slapping that down as not true when they don't know it's not true. No one should attack or damage or do anything like that, but it's very easy to say it is not true because it suits the state narrative. That's all I would say as someone with an inquiring mind.
You don't have an inquiring mind. You're presenting This Morning. The next item is on jeggings.
I think what he means by having an inquiring mind is I am incredibly suggestible.
I think, did you see how guilty Ruth looked? I think it's them. I think that's why he had to cover up. I think they've been breaking masts. He winds up, he's the getaway driver.
It's very easy to fall down a rabbit hole in the right WhatsApp group. You can be really sensible, but with the right amount of information coming your way, it's all mad. Like, one guy on the WhatsApp group said if you stand too close to a 5G tower, and this was verbatim his sentence, you turn to a lesbian.
What,
Turn
just sort
into
of.
it. I think you meant into, but if you said turn to a lesbian, I was like, man, just outside of 5G like that, even if you're a fella. He goes, yeah, that's what they're saying.
What if you start as a lesbian?
Maybe you're just a lesbian who can do a handstand. Right, most of them can anyway. I
That's a
reckon.
very
I'll take a
sweeping
guess.
statement.
Appalling generalisation.
I honestly think that's something that like people couldn't get offended at. They can't
Yeah.
really start a campaign. We can't all do handstands. There's no hate
Excuse me,
involved.
BBC, I actually have very weak upper arms. And I love women, so please don't generalise about me.
I'm going to stand by that one. I reckon they can all do a handstand. There's a lot of anti-mask stuff now. I mean, it seems to be getting really out of hand. But it's got into full-on like conspiracy stuff now.
Yeah.
Had a huge rally at the weekend.
And I just think it's human nature if you tell people to do something because I say so. I think it is in some people's nature to go, why? What's in it for you? What are they up to?
I mean, the only bit that gets me about masks is the bit like, there's a bit sometimes when you first sit down somewhere, you've got it like hanging over one ear. And I caught a sight of myself just in reflection doing that one time, and it was a bit like an old guy who'd wandered into a strip bar and had knickers thrown at his head.
Were you in a strip bar?
Yeah. Anyway, but thanks to Ghosts.